Welcome back, listeners, to a brand new episode of The New Standard. And you're checking out the weekly short recap for February 26, 2024, for the week of February 2026. And before I jump into the program, as always, if you want to participate, please like and subscribe. And also, if you want to participate in the program, go to however you get it via podcast, do a search for the New Standard and Lance Williams and or Neil Coulon and subscribe there. Also, do the same via YouTube. Before we hop into the program, I want to send my condolences out to the family of Andy Russell, outstanding linebacker for the Steel Curtain Steelers in the 70s. So RIP and condolences out to the memory of Mr. Russell and his family. And also I want to send a congratulations to Bill Hargrave, longtime voice of the Pittsburgh Steelers, who is retiring. Now, if you've listened to this program, you know that in the weekly wrap-up, we jump into some of the shorts that we discussed this week on the program, and we expound upon them a little bit. And the first one was, can Russ still cook? And does it make sense for the Steelers to hit the pause button on the development of Kenny Pickett to bring in a 35-year-old quarterback in Russell Wilson? So the question is that a good idea? Can Russ still cook? Or is Russ at this point in his career only heating up food? Is he microwaving food? Is he getting TV dinners, putting the oven on for 19 minutes at 425 and heating it up? That ain't cooking. That's heating up processed food. So what is Russ? What is he doing? So I felt that, and this is a switch I think we're going to make on the show this year in terms of statistics that we use. We're going to try to use statistics that are less subjective, meaning we're going to probably use a lot less of PFF, if at all. And I think we're going to switch more to counting metrics as well as advanced analytical metrics like DVOA, DYAR, EPA, and success rate. Those metrics, in my opinion, are less opinion based and more mathematic based. Although, the one thing about each of those metrics is it still doesn't disqualify what is seen on film. And not necessarily the grading of a play, but I'll give you an example. It could be a play where you get positive EPA because you complete a pass, get you closer to the end zone, you get about 7 or 9 yards. Let's say that. Now, on the same play, the quarterback took the check down, but they missed a wide open post route, an over route for a touchdown. And so the EPA on that play, had the quarterback taken the over, would have been substantially greater than the EPA gained on the play that the quarterback made. And that can only be gleaned by film. So although these stats I think are better than PFF, they still don't tell a complete story. All of this has to be coupled with film study. I'm not an expert film study guy. I know a few things, I will say, but I'm not a coach of football. And so I would say a Greg Cosell and other guys like that are expert film watchers. Doug Farrar, friend of the program, that he could break down what the intent of a play is more than likely, and so on and so forth. So take these numbers with a grain of salt. So when you look at Russell Wilson in terms of DVOA, his DVOA is a minus 2.2%. Now, what that means is his play is 2% worse than the average quarterback. It's 2.2% worse in total than the average quarterback. If you compare that with Kenny Pickett, Kenny Pickett's DVOA was 1.7, which ranked 20th. Russell Wilson's was 23rd, respectively. In terms of DYR, that's defensive yards adjusted over replacement. That means how many passing yards above a replacement player did Russell Wilson have? Russell Wilson, now granted, Russell Wilson had 447 attempts to Kenny Pickett's 324. In terms of DYAR, they only were separated by 2 yards. Russell Wilson had 286 DYAR. Kenny Pickett had 288. They ranked 21st and 22nd, respectively. In terms of EPA per play, Russell Wilson was much better at ranking 13th to Kenny Pickett's 24th. In terms of success rate, they were in the same ballpark. Russell Wilson 45.8 to Kenny Pickett's 42.9, ranking 20th to 25th, respectively. So I give you all those numbers to say, and again, with the understanding that the numbers do not replace film study when trying to get an overall perspective of the player. But when you look at these numbers in comparison between the two, DVOA, DYAR, EPA, and success rate, they look very similar. That I don't see from a statistical standpoint that it makes any sense to more than likely, because I think Denver are going to try to trade him, even if they don't. If they try to trade him, you're looking at about $20 million for the first year. And there are some guarantees. And make sure you guys check out the show we did earlier this week with Ian Whetstone, breaking down the cap situation for not Russell Westbrook, for Russell Wilson, and breaking down the cap situation for Justin Fields. When you look at these two guys statistically, you can't tell me, and statistics don't tell me, one, that Russ can still cook, and that the difference between Kenny Pickett and Russell Wilson at this stage in Russ's career is significant enough to do the trade. Let me say that again. Statistically, there's not a big enough difference, in my opinion, between Russell Wilson and Kenny Pickett to do the trade. I mean, you're talking about a 35-year-old guy that has not played great football the last 2 years, got a coach, Nathaniel Hackett, fired in the first year, a guy who Chad Brown eviscerated, former linebacker for the Steelers, eviscerated in terms of Russell Wilson's personality. I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know if you get a big enough bang for your buck bringing Russell Wilson in. And I don't know if the Steelers as a team are a quarterback away, and that even if they are, that quarterback is Russell Wilson. Now, if you were talking Kirk Cousins, I would say absolutely yes. Even after coming off an ACL, that the gap between Kirk Cousins and Kenny Pickett and or Mason Rudolph is substantial enough that makes sense. That you would be bringing in Kirk Cousins, a quarterback who can compete favorably in the right situation with Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, could trade bullet for bullet, and I think would supplant Deshaun Watson, and you would have the third best quarterback in the division. Arguably, I think you could have, if Kirk Cousins were to come to the North, probably the best division of quarterbacks in football. But that's neither here nor there. My point is, I don't know, for all that you get with Russ, the locker room stuff, so on and so forth, the age, that it is worth a 2-year experiment with Russell Wilson and further putting the development of the quarterback position on the back burner. I'm not sure if you bring in Russell Wilson, they don't win 10 games anyway. Tomlin has a way of chefing up 10 games. That leads us to another short we did this week about an article that Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette wrote about Kenny Pickett and how bringing Justin Fields doesn't make sense for the following reasons. Let me list the 3 reasons. And again, you're checking out the new standard, the weekly shorts recap for the week of February 26, 2024. Please like and subscribe to the program and hit that notification bell for new content. Let me give you the 3 reasons Duloc said it wouldn't make sense to grab Justin Fields. 1, it would kill Kenny Pickett mentally. We'll jump back to each of these 3. 2, Rudolph wouldn't resign. 3, is Fields the dude anyway? Why sacrifice 2 quarterbacks for an unproven one? Now, of the 3, I think the last point makes sense. I think when you're looking at Justin Fields, you're looking at a high trait player, but you're still looking at an unproven player. Hell, you're looking at a guy who the Chicago Bears are willing to get rid of for a guy who's never taken a snap in the National Football League, be it any of the top 3 guys, Williams, Drake May, I think it's Justin Daniels. They haven't taken snaps in the NFL. I can tell you right now, without a shadow of a doubt, Justin Fields is a better NFL quarterback than those 3 guys. Why? Those 3 guys have not taken a snap. So think about the context that does it make sense, and is Fields the dude to bring in Fields, give him a long-term contract, because that's what you would be committing to. Does that make sense for a player who is still largely unproven? So I agree with Duloc there. I wouldn't do it. I don't think it's worth it. Let Atlanta do it. Number 2, Rudolph wouldn't resign. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Had Rudolph not played well in the last 3 games of the season, would anybody care? I mean, I don't care at all. Some of Steeler Nation is overly enamored, in my opinion, with those 3 games, but who cares? Who cares about making any decision based on Mason Rudolph? Now, the only way I think the Steelers would care would be if they think that Mason Rudolph will be the potential starter, and that this competition that they talk about, which will be good for Kenny Pickett, is indeed valuable to them. I don't know. I don't know if it's cap. I don't know what it is, but making plans or not doing something and taking into consideration Mason Rudolph not resigning, who cares? Who cares? Who absolutely cares? If they thought that much about Mason Rudolph, hell, you never draft Kenny Pickett. Mason Rudolph is your guy. And that leads us to the last point. Kenny Pickett would be finished mentally. Again, who cares? Because if you brought in Justin Fields, he's going to be your long-term answer at the quarterback position. So who cares about how Kenny Pickett would feel mentally? I'm guessing if you brought in Justin Fields, Kenny Pickett's not on your roster. He's a draft day trade. You get rid of Kenny Pickett immediately. There's no reason to have Kenny Pickett and Justin Fields on the same roster. And at that point, I'm re-signing Mason Rudolph to be the backup. And my quarterback room would be Justin Fields, Mason Rudolph. That 1 and 2. And draft a guy in the late rounds on the 3rd day. But, I'm not sure teams are overly concerned with guys' mentality when it comes to making decisions and or winning football games. I mean, what has Kenny Pickett done to warrant his mentality being protected? He's got to protect his own mentality, and he can do that by playing quality football, getting prepared, going out and balling. So I don't see how his mentality comes into play. I think the second point of Rudolph not resigning is ridiculous. All in all, of the 3 points, I don't think Fields is necessarily a dude. That's the only one that makes sense to me. And that's why I would say overall, don't trust Dulac. I mean, the guy has some weird ass opinions that I can't get with and that just don't make any sense to me. So trust me, don't trust Dulac. Let's jump into the last couple of shorts before we close out. And I got an email with my name on it and a picture of Cam Hayward in the background. And it said, "Thank you, Lance, for being a fan and cheering us on to a great season." Steelers.com, whoever's responsible for sending that email out. Look, man, if you can't win a playoff game, don't send me no that was a great season message. Come on, man. Save that. Whoever the intern is, take my email address out. Don't send that shit to me because being a 7 seed and losing and getting blown out by almost 2 touchdowns, it probably was 2 touchdowns. Come on, man. That ain't a successful season. It ain't great. It might be successful from the point because you got to the playoffs, but it damn sure ain't great. And that leads me to the question, just what the hell is great for Steeler Nation? What is great for the organization? I can answer for myself. I think you have a great season, obviously, if you win a championship. And that's probably more than great. That's fantastic. Great is in the realm of winning a playoff game. That is a definition to me of a great season. That's short of fantastic. Super great might be being a 1, 2, or a 3 seed and winning a playoff game or getting to the championship game. That might be a super great season, but that still would be short of fantastic. And damn sure this season wasn't great. So Steelers, don't continue to piss off the fan base and send out them type of messages. Last 2 points before we get out of here is nobody cares about what grades the Steelers are getting with the facilities. Do I dress in the Steelers locker room? No. Do I care what type of guy Art Rudy II is? No, not at all. None of the NFLPA grades for owners, coaches, none of that shit matters to me or anybody else. Last, before we get out of here, again, you're checking out the new standard, the weekly shorts recap for the week of February 26, 2024. Please hit the notification bell for new content. Also, like and subscribe to the program. Look us up via your podcast feeder by doing a search for Lance Williams and Neil Coulon and the new standard. Last but not least, Omar Khan said he has faith in Kenny. I asked the question, do you, Steeler Nation? The resounding answer is hell no. Steeler Nation has completely turned tail and lost faith in Kenny Pickett. Now, I'm saying let's be patient. My whole entire family is from Pittsburgh. And I'm going to tell you, the 15233 ain't enamored with Kenny Pickett. Ain't that right, Terry Turk? I know my big cuz ain't enamored with Kenny Pickett. I know my little cuz Kamal likes Kenny Pickett. So there's this divide. This McCoys and Hatchfield, whatever their names are. There's just this divide in Steeler Nation. Look, I think what the Steelers are saying, and hopefully me and Neil will do a show on it, is I think the Steelers are admitting that they didn't put the best infrastructure around him being Kenny Pickett, and give him the best opportunity to succeed. And I think that is what they're trying to do with the hiring of Arthur Smith. So with that, we're going to conclude the program. And as always, tune in, tell a friend, and subscribe. Go Steelers.